This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
On K4HD.com, Hollywood Talk Radio and Television. And so with no further ado, let me introduce your host, Dr. Robert J. Newton. Hey, 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 namaste. This is Dr. Newton. And let's get ready to rumba. Okay, so once again, I'm wearing my weird pyramid. Is it weird? Quite possibly. Is it unconventional? Probably so. Is it counterculture? Duh. Doesn't really matter. I've never run my life that way, and it's put me at odds with a lot of people over the time. But it's also, on the other side of the sword, it's also put me in contact with cutting-edge minds and spiritual teachers and gurus, that yogis and Hindu priests and Buddhist priests and all kinds of people on the cutting edge of what's not on the general field of mediocrity that exists on Earth, on the about the 13 to 20 hertz range of the brain, which is beta, which is a survival brainwave, but certainly not anything all that uplifting or beneficial if you're going into the realms of the unknown, which I currently go into, like the fool that didn't know it couldn't be done, so it went ahead and did it anyway. Now, I'm not into the gender pronouns or anything. The reason I said it, so I didn't have to say he, she, but he, she didn't know it couldn't be done. It's interesting how the whole society is trying to be torn apart. They're trying to indoctrinate children into gender fluidity and everything. And there really is no such thing in nature. There might be one or two instances, but as a general rule, it simply doesn't exist. I have heard where there are once in a while people that are born with both sexual organs. They call them hermaphrodites, but one of those organs will be much smaller than the other. They're not both of the same full size. Okay. And why someone would do that, I'm not really sure. But I do know that in the Gnostic gospel that I just found in the last few months, called the Gospel of the Sophia Jesus Christ, or also known as the Secret Teachings of Jesus, and I would say both should apply. And it is about the Sophia, the feminine, which is the force of creation, actually. And it is also a secret teaching, because it's not in it, or at least if not secret, it's hidden. And it's not discussed. None of the Christian churches discuss it. When I was involved with the Church of Daily Living in the 1980s in Costa Mesa, California, one minister was Dr. Richard Hill. No, he wasn't a doctor. It was Richard Hill, but he had vast psychic knowledge and things like that. And the other one was Dr. Rocco Errico, who was an expert in the Aramaic Peshitta, which means the Greek writings, the Greek texts about Jesus and everything. And I learned a lot from both of them. And I think they learned something from me too by seeing what I could do with my psychic abilities and the size of my aura, etc. So the whole game is to get into as much energy as you can into the real true state of a human being, which is energy. You are only energy. And I'll keep saying it. Maybe I need to keep trying to convince myself. I mean, I know it really well, but maybe on some level I haven't quite figured it out, because I figured by now that I would have already attained a state of Sarupa Samadhi, which is a state talked about in the Yoga Sutras by Patanjali, in which the body no longer depends on food or anything like that. Um, I was going to talk about Bidenomics. If I don't do that, remind me later, please, Rebel. Rebel Medler is my engineer and my co-host, and she has free liberty to make comments and add things as necessary that she considers germane. We worked together for several years on Hollywood Talk Radio. Now we're on Hollywood Talk TV. Go figure. Oh, I'm a star. I'm a star. A star is born. Yes, Rebel. So, yeah, I like that laugh. I got a lot of laughs, but I don't have the. Oh, I'm getting it now. I got it. I got it. Okay. Okay. All
right. You're so cute.
Yeah. Well, I was at one time. I don't know if I still am. I should get one of the pictures. I should get one of the pictures that I have of me from a long time ago. Anyway, so yeah, you're delightful too, and you're intelligent, and you're insightful. So,
oh, you're so sweet.
Where was I going? I was getting on something. Oh yeah, I was talking about immortality, and that's kind of what the show is about today. The reason that I'm wearing the pyramid, as I talked about last week, the pyramid, pyros in Greek means fire. So the Greeks knew about this, and the Greeks learned about this from the Egyptians, because the Greeks didn't know diddly squat compared to the Egyptians. Everything they learned, they knew about. The Pythagorean theorem wasn't developed by Pythagoras. It came from, I'm trying to think, was there? Probably Horus or someone like that, someone that was involved, which was a Greek netter god, which means a demigod, a semigod, and a highly evolved being, but not God itself. So, the thing is, so here we are. The reason I say that we aren't matter is because we aren't. We're made of atoms, and these atoms are 99.9% massless. They really are. So that basically vitiates or eliminates any possibility of matter even existing. And maybe if you've listened to the show, and by the way, we'll take any questions and comments, no matter how deep or obtuse or whatever. Just be nice, because we delete people that don't speak in civil ways. Okay, you don't have to like what I say, but I would caution you to, or I would encourage you to keep your judgments of some of the more far out things I say, because some of the things I say now, when I first encountered them, I thought they were pretty ridiculous too, but I didn't allow my subconscious to come in and short circuit the learning process. Eventually, if you keep your mind open, eventually you're going to get enough foundational knowledge where you'll be able to understand things you couldn't before when they were said. They might have seemed outrageous, and yet maybe over time they might actually be beneficial. So the pyramid definitely will increase your aura. We showed pictures of that last week, of the magnetic field photography. When I douse people, it will definitely, with dowsing rods, it will definitely double their energy field. When I um, when I when I do Kriya Kundalini Pranayama, which is in a very extended breathing meditation, which almost puts you into a very low level, even at the theta or delta level, theta being 4 to 7 hertz and delta being 4 and below. And so I failed to mention last week a couple things about pyramids. I started to mention about the pyramid, and the angle of the pyramid would determine the exact energy of it. So at 52 degrees or 51.57, I think it is. Although in my book, The Immortality Prophecy, my big fingers, wrong one. There we go. Immortality Prophecy. I said it was 52.5, but it's still in the ballpark. That resonates with the heart. So if you get a steeper angle like this, then it's going to resonate with the pineal gland and the third eye, and also with the crown and the soul above, which is just above your crown. It's just above, right there. There's always a connection. The soul is pure energy. We're pure energy. It just doesn't appear such, but we should appear as such. And when you get into the higher dimensions, when you get into the fourth dimension, which is the first level of heaven, which is described in the book of Enoch, which has conveniently been deleted from the New Testament by the Roman Catholic Church. Oh, congratulations. You're so useful. All right. There's your applause with the poop. Or some great poop on. Anyway, so when you get into these higher dimensions, it becomes very obvious that all the vestiges or the illusion, Mary Baker Eddy in Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures is a very spiritual woman, the smartest woman that had been on the planet in about 2,000 years, and she said that matter was just an illusion. And she's right. She didn't have the benefit of the helium ion microscopes where we can kind of prove things, and electrometers and things like that where we can actually prove that right now. But she knew it anyway. And I do believe she was, well, I know I probably shouldn't say this, but I get the strongest feeling, I can't prove it, that she was Mary Magdalene in a previous incarnation. This woman consistently did the impossible by following what she taught in her book, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures. You might want to check that book out. You might want to stretch your mind out. You might want to stretch your mind out by reading my book, The Immortality Prophecy. People have said it's hard to read. I'm trying to make it easier for you. You know, here's a trick. If you read something before you go to bed and then just sleep on it, when you wake up, you're going to understand it a lot better. If you're taking a test, you should go over the information that you know just before you go to sleep, because it's going to go into the subconscious. And when you get into the test, the information is going to come. It's going to come back to you. You're going to recall it. For real. No bullshit. Although I do have a picture on my Facebook page, my profile picture shows me next to a buffalo. That's a lot of bull. Well, almost it's a buffalo, but it's I should have got on that thing and taken a ride on it, but it's taxidermied, so it wouldn't go anywhere. That would be something good for Joe Biden to do. Such a pathetic fork. He could ride that buffalo and he could brag about how he rode one. Okay, getting real. Bidenomics. I'll explain it to you in a while. Oh, God. All right. Okay. So another thing about the pyramid is that you can use it to reactivate the enzyme in vegetable or flower seeds, which after a few years they start losing their potency. You can repotentize them. I do it all the time when I have stuff that I need to do. It will also keep food from spoiling. It will also help clear various ailments and things from the body by building the body's pranic or chi or electromagnetic field, which is basically which comes from atoms and atoms only from the electrons. So um, let's see. All right. So also you can use that to prolong the life of food underneath there, and you can also use it in something called electroculture, where you can put it on above your plants and above your vegetables, and they will grow a lot better. If someone asks me or maybe begs me, I'll do a show on electroculture, which is I've known about many of the concepts of it, but I'd never heard it in the way that it's being called electroculture. I studied a lot of different things about making fertilizers and things through something called a biodynamic process, which was pioneered by a man named Dr. Pfeiffer. I forget his first name, but that's pretty good since the last time I went through that was about 30 or 40 years ago. And he showed how if you take this stuff and you spin it in a clockwise fashion in the northern hemisphere or a counterclockwise fashion, and everything's backward on the camera. I don't know if I can handle looking at myself for a whole hour. Ooh, pretty scary. That it will potentize it even more. And you can do that really easy by getting an electric drill and then get one of those things that mixes stucco or something like that, or drywall compound, mud, what you call mud, and you can potentize it really quick. All right. So let's see, where else do I want to go? I do want to talk about the potency of food. Right now, I'm going to take a short side trip. The other day, my friends, David and Meg Armstrong in Minnesota, who are wise elders, like I've been asked to assign that title by many, or shaman, or reishi. I like the reishi better. Reishi is a teacher with great knowledge. And that's been bestowed upon me by my Hindu priest friend, Dr. Sam Paul, who probably would know a lot about that since he studied it from the age of 5 till right now he's probably 40 or 45 years old, so he knows a lot of stuff. And so anyway, Meg sent me this thing about angel frequencies and how it's really important that we, when you pray, that you use the angel frequency number of 722 or 227, which is the inverse. And when you're praying, and this will invoke the angels to help us transition through all the idiocy going on right now. If you hung with me, you would hear me making references to many derogatory references to the morons that think they're running the government right now. Yeah, they're running it into the ground. So I'm going to stay on point. Even though I want to go off on a tangent. So I also did some more research on my own, and the number 999, this is 722 hertz or 227 hertz or 999 hertz is also an angel number that you can use in your prayers. And when you're doing your prayers, this means doing Hindu mantras or anyway, which I found to be the most powerful prayers of any type, as well as the Buddhist prayers like Om Mani Padme Om. So let's see. It's and so that number is for abundance and protection. And as Meg was talking to me about, and I already knew there are a number of really horrible and negative entities on Earth. In fact, I just found some more information today on Telegram on a site called Epic Dude, which happens to belong to David Armstrong, who I just mentioned. And it talks about how very young children are being absconded with and taken to the dark side of the moon, which really isn't dark because there's a reptilian race that likes the blood of young children, finds it rejuvenating. It's called necrophilia. There's another name. And also inside of the Antarctica, which there is a big underground tunnel that runs all the way up to through Mount Shasta and up into the North Pole. It's all interconnected and underground civilization. And it's been known about the Nazis. The Nazis went to that area in about 1934, 1935, and a lot of the funding that allowed them to go there, go figure, came from the Chase Bank, which is the Bushes were involved with. President George H.W. Bush's father, Prescott Bush, was a conduit of that money into that went to the Nazis. It supported the Nazi war effort and the Allied war effort. So, and it's like it always is. The banks only win in a war because at least they fund one side and put them in debt, and then they have to pay interest, and many times both sides. So actually maybe there's no winner at all but the bankers. All right, so
that kind of puts us all at a disadvantage now, doesn't it?
Yeah, big disadvantage. Well, speak some more on that. I think you have some thoughts to share.
Well, I hear that they're trying to switch over from the one way of currency to a different form of currency. I don't normally delve in politics, but if that's the case and they switch over to the I don't know, Chinese communist stuff, won't it make it more easy for them to take our money? I mean, Uncle Sam's
well, yeah. Listen to this. You're right on track there. You're a good hound dog. You're a beautiful hound dog. You look better than a hound dog, way better. But you have the instincts of a hound dog. Excuse me. Slap me. All right, slap me back into reality. Oh no, don't slap me into reality. Yeah, they're very much wanting to go into this quantum banking system, where a digital banking system where all currency is eliminated and everything you make will go into this bank, and they'll even have control so much as to say, I've heard that if they want the economy stimulated, they'll tell you to go and buy something in a certain sector or something so that you can do that. And if they don't like what you're buying, they won't allow the current transaction to go through. So you're right on. Okay. And
so there's for being a free country.
Yeah. Well, that's why I mentioned using that section of the Uniform Commercial Code, UCC 1-103.6, to take you out of the commercial law, which allows this idiocy in the farce. And and this is a whole nother matter too, is using birth certificates as a securitization for securities and everything. Now, my friends and I tried to get the money attached from those securities back to us, but we were blown off because it legally belongs to us. But they take it.
Right, but other people have already spent what we put in, so it doesn't matter. It's not there anymore to get.
Yeah. So It's um, and didn't I talk about the gold bars on Monday? Didn't I talk about how they
Yes,
wound
how
up?
they
How they
aren't
wound
really
up?
gold.
Yeah, they're tungsten, which weighs almost the same as gold, but not exactly. It's a few grams off. Well, I'm all for sending those to China and getting money in return because, you know, I'm not a friend of China. I'm not a fan of China, and it's not because I'm anti. It's not because of a. It's not because of a racial thing or anything like that. It's just because, geez Louise, they take these these hungers and these different people that can do spiritual miracles of manifestation and stuff, and they put them in prison and harvest their organs and make them perform slave labor. I mean, if you talk about an economic not miracle, it's China, where 70% of the people are making about $13,000 a year, uh, and they're working. They're making about $100 a day for about 10 hours worth of work. Could be even more. It's not a wonderland. So that's what Build Back Better is, by the way. You know, that Jack, that Jack, can I say the effing word or not?
Sure.
That Jack fucking ass. I should have said forking. Because fucking is a good thing. We shouldn't mix it up with a bad thing. Um, so it's, you know, when you're promoting something, you know, you might want to explain what it is. Right now, Bidenomics, they haven't explained, but I'll tell you what it is. You cannot. I'll tell you what it is. No political, no economic expert I was on Fox News or any other place can explain it. So I'll explain it for you. It's impossible. They're talking, oh, we're going to build the economy from the inside out and from the bottom up. Hey, you stupid fucking goddamn shit-eating moron. Wake the fuck up. Dude, it doesn't work like that. It never worked like that. Ronald Reagan and George and Donald Trump proved that the top-down way of doing it works radiantly. Everyone was making more. Why y'all voted for a guy that said he was going to bring you together that then demonizes his political opponents? And, you know, now I'm pissed off. Now I was also reading today about these guys from the January 6th hoax, which this is a big hoax. They made a big thing out of it like it was an assault on the Capitol. And yet the Capitol Police and the FBI were also helping these people go through these areas. So, and Trump also offered 20,000 troops to quell any National Guard troops to quell any what they thought was going to be disturbances. So if he did that, then he can't really be called guilty of fomenting something that he was trying to prevent, huh? If anyone can explain that to me, how that could be, I'll give you $100. I was going to say $1 million, but I don't have $1 million, so I got to give you what I got. Otherwise, I'll be as full of Shiite as this Biden. Okay, you simply cannot. You cannot build an economy. It takes wealth. The people that have attained wealth should be lauded instead of y'all being envious. I've worked for many rich people in my landscaping business, and I never envied any of them. You know what I did? I picked their brain to learn how to become more wealthy because they know how to do it. And giving people money and giving them welfare and stuff does not make them wealthy. It makes them dependent on the government. And furthermore, there is no free lunch. Somebody has to pay for it. The rich people pay most of it, even though Biden would tell you otherwise. That's because he's a nonstop lying machine. That's because he's a nonstop gaffe machine. That's because in his whole life, he's never done anything of note or value to benefit anybody except for the 1994 crime bill, which he sponsored and ran through Congress, which, by the way, just happened to work against the people of color. immensely to their detriment. But he never talks about that. Okay. Oh, and the other thing that he's really good at is a grifter, is grifting money. And right now it's even going on. So you'll see. You'll see when Congress gets to the stuff. It's there. And all that stuff that was buried in the FBI. So, all right. I could keep going down this hole, but I better jump out or I might never get out. So the pyramid has many values. I have these for as a special. I sold one from the Monday show. It's $99 plus $15 shipping and handling. That's just my cost. It might even be more. They're normally $249. They're slightly used, but they work very well. And if you so desire, I can infuse them with even more scalar energy by putting them under a bigger pyramid. And for about another $100, we can put some, I can have some crystals and other gemstones wired into it, like are on this pyramid that I have right now. I have sugalite wired on it, which is a stone to increase, stimulate the pineal gland and the third eye and increase psychic abilities and knowledge. All right, I'm going to Chapter 8 of the, just got to see what time it is. Oh, okay, I'm good on time. What time do I have to stop? Do you have a show after this?
Yeah, we're sticking to the same regular schedule,
Okay.
50 minutes.
Rigorous. All right. I want to talk about, I'll start here and hopefully I'll get to where I want to go eventually. This is Chapter 8 on hallucinogenic, psychedelic, psychotropic substances, ormus, including ormus, and finding the body great, meaning preparing the brain mind to make a climb to bodily immortality. And I'm going to get into, in this chapter, I'm going to get into the energy value of food, which you should be well aware of, which no one teaches. None of these so-called great teachers teach it. Oh, also, if anyone who wants to sponsor and find a site, preferably at your house or whatever, because I don't want people going in and spending $4,000 like my associate at www.positivelifewithyoga, Dr. Sam Paul, spent we spent like $3,000 or $4,000 on a hotel room in Goleta, California, and this just not economically feasible to do it on that. Unless we had like 50 people, it would be, but we had about 15 or 20. It was not good. So anyone that wants to do that, you would get the class for free. I guarantee you that I'm not going to waste your time or my time. As long as you practice what I tell you and the way that I tell you, you are going to be able to fly. Peter, I can fly, Peter. Yeah, well, you could possibly even do that, but I won't make it. I won't go that far. I'll simply say that all the things you wanted to do or thought you couldn't do, you'll start doing, including writing a book if you want. It will become easy like it is for me. Becoming more creative, becoming healthier, and even putting yourself into a state, at least in this lifetime, you'll be making steps to go into an immortalized body. If you don't do it on this one, at least you'll come back and you'll hit the ground running, kind of like I did for my last incarnation. As at the age of 5, I knew things about Jesus and stuff and God that were being wrongly taught, and I'm still getting flack for it to this day, but I'm not going to stop because I have no reason to be here otherwise. I could be in higher dimensions having a lot more fun with much more intelligent, loving, and spiritual people in general. All right, so this starts out with a poem. When trying to enter the land unknown, we can do this, so don't bemoan. You'll have found this as you've really grown. It's something more like a precious stone. So it's a process of growing. Really, the things that we're striving for, we already are and we already have. But the programming by these reptilians and the Anunnaki and other things have been so destructive as to keep us down as slaves, and that's what they wanted. And that's talked about in one of who's that guy in South Africa? Um, I'll come to me in a minute. So I'm going to take the expression to what I'm going to take a contraposition to what I expressed in my second book, A Map to Healing in Your Essential Divinity Through Theta Consciousness. In chapter 1 of this book, besides proving the existence of a creator God and a controlling intelligence, I stated that people that drink alcoholic beverages and or regularly use cannabis and hallucinogenic substances might never really know God in an unadulterated fashion. Such hard and fast rules were the result of my wife and teacher Charlotte Ann Newton Smith, who was opposed to the use of any mind-altering substance, influenced by her deep immersion, like myself, into Kriya Kundalini Yoga and the Vedic sciences, or the Hindu knowledge, which goes back at least 5,100 years. And actually, I think it goes back 1.9 billion. I simply can't prove it right now, but I simply know it, but I can't prove it. So I'll go with what I know can be proved. She always did things through the ancient practice of meditation, which is embraced by large numbers of people today. There is a certain validity to Charlotte's viewpoint, and yet there's a certain blindness to it as well. Nevertheless, I will honor her as my teacher, lover, best friend, and soulmate at a deep and mind-blowing level. Making my transition, there are dopamine receptors in the brain that react to all substances we will be talking about, which are in the same brain wave in the alpha theta range we create in meditation. Many people have called these cannabis or dimethyltryptamine, a psychedelic compound of the tryptamine family, known as DMT receptors. Yet that simply is not scientifically accurate, since these reactors will react to multiple substances and states of meditation, not just DMT or ayahuasca too. Now, in the case of alcoholic beverages, they will make you feel very good, since they are transiting your consciousness into an alpha brainwave range. Yet, as far as immortalizing the body, this would be contraindicated, since it so debilitates the livers and kidney in the body, and that's something my engineer rebel knows a lot about kidneys. This puts the body in a toxic state where it most likely will not be able to produce enough telomerase enzyme due to the state of stress and inflammation it experiences from alcohol poisoning. I know this statement is not going to be popular, yet it is very true. So as it is true, it is. One glass of red wine a day is not going to ruin your life, but letting go of this practice will keep your body closer to an alkali state which is where a so-called physical body and body of energy light reach a more optimized state. It does not take a lot of time to get buzzed via meditation session rather than a glass of red wine. Instead of wine and dine, we should meditate and dine. Cuckoo, cuckoo. No, not really, Chris. Well, maybe I am. I'm going to digress here, since I raised the subject of an alkalized body being an optimal condition for us. Alcohol Alcohol, meats, poultry, fish, lentil, beans, prunes, and plums are highly acidic food. Additionally, cooked meats, poultry, and fish will not be just digested in our intestines because heating or cooking food kills the protease enzyme in them. This creates a condition known in the intestine where the intestines begin to collect and hold fecal matter, creating nitrosamines found in beers also, and leading, I'm a real party pooper, leading, I don't drink any alcohol beverages and never have, creating, or so rarely as to be never, creating nitrosamines found in beers and leading to the strong possibility of colon cancer, Crohn's disease, diverticulitis, colitis, irritable bowel syndrome known as IBS, and much better is a diet based on vegetables, potatoes, fruits, grains, rice, quinoa, and beans rather than meat and alcohol and diet sodas or regular sodas. You know that actually diet sodas are worse for you than the ones with the sugar. Oh my God, what a way to try and to get people to drink something to tell them it's better and it's worse. Wow. Ay, ay, ay. Man, that's why this people on this planet annoy the shit out of me many times. Better yet, to transition to a breatharian type of living, such as can be ascertained if it is optimum for a person as determined by muscle kinesiology testing. Do not attempt this transition until someone trained in kinesiology muscle testing can ascertain if it is best for you or what is best for you. My discussions in this chapter may go against everything in the current allopathic medical paradigm, so you will have to decide this for yourself. Dr. Newton, me, is not going to make this decision for you, but to put things in perspective, let's go back to the Bovis units of energy we covered in the last chapter. And so we know that cooked food is not only going to be hard to digest. We also know that it does not even produce enough energy to allow our bodies to thrive because the enzymes are killed by the heat of cooking. So there is a way that you can counteract this, and this is through taking an enzyme supplement. I use the one from our garden, and it has protease, lipase, amylase, and one other thing for the fiber. Okay, and so when I eat cooked food, I use those. In determining what is healthful for us and will highly power our body, there are only 1,500 Bovis units in cooked food and 3,000 Bovis units in steam food. And we know that we need, according to Dr. Andre Bovis's research, we need 7,000 Bovis units to maintain maximum health. So sodas at 1,000 Bovis units will not only deplete our energy on the Bovis scale, but will deplete our energy since the carbolic acid makes our bodies highly acidic. Raw vegetables will give you 6,500 Bovis units, which shifts you to a healthy threshold at 7,000 Bovis units that you need. But even better would be eating sprouts, right, fresh fruits and nuts with 8,500 Bovis units, and sunflower seeds, sprouted seeds, and wheatgrass at 9,500 Bovis units. And I do that to an extent. It also will help you lose a lot of weight. And we seem to be a nation of dough bellies right now. So salient and germane information. Further consider on the same matter, Dr. Robert O. Young's 30 years of research reveals a body with an acidic pH interferes with negative ions reacting with positive ions and releasing bodily energy that transcends protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And remember, I talked previously, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I talked about actual that 20 I forget who it was, found that 25%, up to 25% of what nutrifies the body comes from non-caloric or food sources. And I would contend even higher. And further, also the next week, I believe I talked about, or maybe the same week, I talked about using oxidative phosphorylation, which is exactly what a tree does when it uses water inside the tree and inside with sunlight and iron, the chemical or metal iron, to create chlorophyll, which is basically a self-created and self-sustaining food, and that a human body can do exactly the same thing except changing only one thing, and that would be changing magnesium for iron. And just as an aside, magnesium is found to make muscles function better. And in the end, actually, muscles are only energies, even though in the diagrams they look like matter. Okay, but they're really units. They're really comprised of atoms, which is energy. The pH balance of the bloodstream is one of the most important biochemical balances in all of body chemistry, states Dr. Young. He further states there's only one disease, and that disease is acidosis. Okay, so that's an acidic body. Dr. Young's book, A New Biology, explains this understanding in detail. So the importance of an acidic balance cannot be minimized nor ignored, because the negative ion factor has shown to be a mood elevator and is a factor in a healthy body. This will be discussed more in depth of chapter 9. And this, I think this is 8. Neither can we ignore the breatharian approach to nutrifying the human body. And in a sense, that would happen through oxidative phosphorylation, which I think would even create, what's that? ADT, adenyl triphosphate, which is something of a substance that helps metabolism. Ending the digression, we quickly return to the focus on well, I'm not going to go into that. Anyway, I'll go a little bit. Brain tomography reveals brain waves are produced from the use of cannabis. Alpha brain waves are produced from it, and it functions as well as an antidepressant, much better to wit than Prozac, Ritalin, and other related pharmaceuticals. But also realize, and I've also kind of come back on my thing for cannabis because it's so strong right now that it's really not well to optimum in any way, shape, or form for children to use. And although, unfortunately, many are. Okay, so I guess we're at the end of the time, so I'll take you out with a song from the Doors, one of the favorite groups from my favorite groups from the 60s. This is the end, the only end, my friend. This is the end, again, my friend. Namaste, namaskar, shalom, salam alaikum.